Hey guys, Dino here, and welcome to my Mass Effect 2 playthrough and unskippable introduction screens. For some reason, one of the things that EA likes to do is throw on these dumbass screens at the very beginning of their games that no matter how many times you see them, there's no way to skip them. Anyway, so, like I mentioned yesterday, I've seen Bruce doing his Mass Effect 2 playthrough, and it really prompted me to want to do one of my own. I think we have some very different play styles, and it was interesting. I noticed some of the people on his comments were actually saying things like, they thought it was interesting how he does so well while utilizing so little cover, and I thought it was interesting because I feel like when I'm playing this game, I utilize next to no cover. I mean, occasionally you have to. There's just not much you can do, especially early on. So, anyway, wanted to contrast that and build my own Mass Effect 2 playthrough and see what you guys think. So, like you just saw there, I'm playing this on the PC. That's also one of the differences, whereas Bruce is doing his on the 360. Mass Effect 2 saves is some website out there where basically you get to scroll through and it gives you this. People have uploaded all these different save files from Mass Effect 1, and you get to choose basically all the different options that are out there, the decisions they made. And the benefit to doing that is, number one, if you've never played Mass Effect 1, which I have, or if you erase that save file, you get to download one and use it no problem. But the other bonus is that when you're going into Mass Effect 2, if you use one of those save files where they got to level 60 and completed a bunch of extra achievements, that when you're starting out in Mass Effect 2, you get a huge boost, and I think you get some extra levels starting off. I think I start off at level 5 or something like that, as opposed to starting off, level 0, 1, whatever. You get some resources and some extra credits, so it's a nice little boost in the beginning. I think this game should definitely start off closer to level 5. It's more enjoyable. You get a little taste of your powers earlier on that way. So anyway, that's why I'm doing that. So this game is going to be a pretty long game, so I'm going to try to make these clips as long as possible. This first one, we'll see. I just want to play around with the length to see where we're at. It'll hopefully be around 25 minutes or so. And I need to make sure I have to make it under that YouTube cap of 2 gigs. So I want to get as close to that as possible, because like I said, this playthrough will definitely take a while. So now that I've got that out of the way, I just want to talk to you a little bit about this game. I think in general, Mass Effect is probably one of the greatest mixes of, an RPG action hybrid that are out there. Like, this is a style of game that, growing up, I always wish I could have played, but we just lacked the hardware to do something like this. It was either, a straight up RPG, or it was, basically a first person shooter. You never got a mix of anything. And I think Mass Effect is probably the first game to mix those up and do it really, really well. I think out of almost any game I've played, Mass Effect has the best dialogue by far. It's not just, person to person, but I love the different choices you make. They're very different. And, it's really funny watching Bruce's playthrough, watching the Renegade options. Like, they are very, very Renegade. They're pretty nasty sometimes. I was laughing. I was watching one of his clips the other night, and it was something like a bullet in the head solves everything. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty hardcore. So I love the different options and you can do. Anyway, it's a lot of fun. They did a really good job with Mass Effect. One of the downsides that kind of reminds me a little bit of, say, Batman Arkham Asylum is that there is some inconsistent gameplay features. And once again, just like Batman Arkham Asylum, you don't notice these unless you're basically trying to make this hardcore playthrough on Insanity. And you don't notice the combat failures on Batman Arkham Asylum unless you're trying to set a record or something like that on some sort of challenge. But that being said, they're still there. So, basically in Batman Arkham Asylum, well, what I'm talking about is consistency. And in Batman, basically, there's all these sorts of different bugs or glitches or whatever you want to call it, where, you know, Batman simply doesn't move over and attack like he's supposed to, or the guys aren't consistently hitting like you feel that they should be, so it's really hard to prepare and anticipate that counter punch. But the big ones are basically, you know, Batman, instead of moving over to attack, he just kicks or something like that, and then you lose your 300-point combo, which is always a lot of fun because Batman fucked up and there was absolutely nothing you could do. So, in Mass Effect, you get the same deal, and it's extremely noticeable as playing the Vanguard. I'm sure XCal's talked all about it already, so I won't belabor it too much. But getting the unable to target error is basically a fucking death sentence. Especially if you're trying to play using as little cover as possible. It guarantees that on Insanity, you're going to have a lot of deaths. You'll see in the clips I already have 4 hours of footage that I need to compile. And I have, oh my god, I already have quite a few deaths because there's nothing you can do. I mean, you're trying to charge around and zip over from guy to guy and smash in all their faces, and you're getting the unable to target glitch, and there's nothing you can do. There's no reason why you shouldn't be able to target him. He's standing right in front of you. You know, you're 10, 15 feet away. There's no reason why you shouldn't be able to charge him, and he's not. Or you're charging him, and then the charge, what's the other bug? Where you charge him, and then it gives you the animation of the charge, but you don't actually move anywhere. That's a pretty sweet bug. Also, occasionally when you do charge them, you're so close to them, you like get inside of them and you're trying to shoot them, but like you're shooting through them, so then your bullets aren't hitting them either. So yeah, it can be really, really frustrating, and it sucks having to do like the same level or the same little area multiple times over, because it, you know, I have no problem if, you know, I'm fucking up, and if I die, it's my fault. That's no big deal. But it's just so infuriating to have to die, sometimes multiple times, because my chargers are failing, and I think it really takes away from the game once you start playing it trying to play it at a highly competitive level. You know, but like that being said, if you're just playing this game on normal and you're trying to have fun, you probably wouldn't notice it too much. Actually, one of the other bugs I got last night too, multiple times in a row, you'll see this in a few clips later on, pretty scary. I'd never seen this before, was a charge replay bug. I don't know how to classify it. Basically, I charged, and then I was trying to shoot him with the shotgun, and then I immediately charged again, and this happened like 3 times. I essentially instant charged him. I hit him with charge 3 times in 3 seconds. And it has a 6-second cooldown. Hadn't actually seen that one before. That's a new one, so gotta love it. I think one of the big differences between PC and Xbox is probably the ability to both use your teammates' powers and position your teammates easier. So I can basically just point wherever I want them to go, and they'll go there. And then I can also just click buttons on the keyboard to instantly use their powers. And most of the time it doesn't seem like it's constrained by line of sight, which is a little strange. I can have a guy on the 2nd floor and I'll be on the 1st floor underneath him. There's no physical way that he should be able to shoot down there, and you know, he's throwing incinerates or whatever. So anyway, what it ends up feeling like you have, you know, essentially 3 or 4 powers at your disposal at all times. So it's pretty cool. One of the downsides to playing on PC is, I've talked about this a few times, is the problems you run into via porting issues. So one of the most basic issues is just using the mouse. The mouse, when you first start out and you play, it just doesn't feel right. I don't know how to describe this. You know, if you were to play a game that's only playable on the PC, the mouse, I don't know, the mouse feels fine. When you go move your mouse around on your desktop, it feels great, feels normal. when you move around in Mass Effect, it just feels a little bit clunky. It feels laggy or chunky. I don't know how to describe it. And then this is further evidenced by the fact that when you go in to tweak your mouse's sensitivity, instead of having a sliding scale where you tweak it from, say, 0 up to 100 or whatever, you get the option of low, medium, or high. That's right. Low, medium, or high. That's it. Those are your only options for mouse sensitivity. I don't really know who made the executive decision to do that, but it really doesn't make sense. So in order to tweak your mouse's sensitivity in this game, you actually have to go in and play with it on your desktop or whatever control panel and change your mouse's sensitivity in there. So then when you go back into Mass Effect, you can actually play. Because when I went in there, my mouse's sensitivity was way too high, and even putting it down on low, it was still skipping around at 1,000 miles an hour. And it's just retarded. So anyway, console ports suck, and anyway, that's one of the reasons why. Oh, there's also a few other bugs. You'll see them from time to time as you're trying to switch around powers. You're trying to assign powers. The way that you do it is you drag and drop them into your hotbar or whatever. And it's a really strange bug. You'll try to drop it in there, but then or pull one out, and you're pulling out, it'll force you to pull out like 2 at one time. And you're just like, what the fuck is this? And then you're trying to do it again, and it keeps doing the same thing. So then you have to like stop it and move forward, and then try again, and it'll sometimes keep doing it, sometimes won't. So there's definitely some bugs in this game, and they're there as a result of it being a console port. So kind of frustrating. I'm trying to think. I think there was one other. Oh yeah, the weapon switch. How ridiculous. There's no way to switch weapons quickly. I have to switch weapons the exact same way you guys do on consoles. I have a console, so it's fucking retarded. It just doesn't make any sense. So instead of giving me the ability to hit different buttons to immediately swap my weapons or modify my loadout depending on what I want to take, I'm forced to take 4 weapons with me every time, despite the fact that, personally I'm not a big fan of heavy weapons. I rarely ever use them. The gun just takes so fucking long to pull out in the first place. I don't like it. But anyway, there's no way to quickly switch them, so I have to hit spacebar, pause the game, and the fastest way to do it is switch that way. Because you have to go through, like if you're on weapon 1, and you want to go to weapon 3, you either have to scroll back and go through weapon 4 and then through weapon 3, or go to 2 and then 3. You can't just hit 3 unless you hit spacebar, pause the game, scroll over, select it, and do it that way. But that's just a component left over from consoles. You have to have that there because you don't have enough buttons on a controller to do it otherwise. What was the other? There was something else too. Oh, yeah. The sprint function. So something else left over from the console porting is the sprint cover function, where basically you have one button that does everything. And once again, this is an idea or a concept that comes from playing on consoles. You don't have enough buttons, so you end up having one button that does everything. Well, that fucking sucks if you're on a mouse and keyboard, because you have plenty of buttons to do whatever the hell it is you want to do. And unfortunately, if I just want to sprint, it sucks because Shepard is constantly like running past a wall and, going up against it and looking for cover, even though, there may be guys shooting right behind him and it doesn't make any sense. But when you have one button that performs 3 different functions, that's going to happen a lot. I really wish I could just have a MF and sprint button and not have a cover or anything else. But unfortunately, once again, like I said, it's a console port, and PC gamers lose out. So sucks. And yeah, anytime there's ports on any different level, I don't know, it's just never a good idea. Although I feel like it's usually a safer way to go from a PC to a console port, because the console port, they're going to guarantee that on some level you have the ability to use everything. And I just feel like it usually works out easier when it's a PC to console port versus a console to a PC, because there's just too much to take account for now that you're going from a controller to a mouse and keyboard anyway. So those are my big gripes about the game, and you'll definitely hear me bitching about them as time goes on. So yeah, little introduction. So right now also we're watching the comic. This comic was actually invented to sort of take the role of the save functions I was talking about. I just wanted to get the DLC for anyone that picked up quite a few of the DLCs, just so it'll be more fun playing through it. Also, I think Mass Effect 2 came out on PlayStation, but I don't think Mass Effect came out on the original PlayStation, so they had Mass Effect 2, not Mass Effect 1, so they had no way to make those decisions. And what this comic does is if I hadn't loaded up that save, it would allow me to make some crucial gaming decisions from that first game to allow those people on PlayStation to play through the second. So anyway, that's why that's there, but you know, whatever, just thought you might enjoy it. So that's all for now. Stay tuned for a lot of kick-ass action.
And Liara was forced to watch her mother die in her arms. And I was left with an angry, dangerous Rachni queen to deal with. She claimed her drones would do no harm if I released her. But the Rachni had terrorized the galaxy before. I couldn't do it. I wouldn't doom an entire species for past sins. And the Queen was true to her word. She left and took her army of drones with her. With Saren's top lieutenant dead, he was quickly running out of time and places to hide. I tracked him down at his base on Vermeer, but we soon learned it was more than a base of operations. It was a breeding ground. Saren was breeding an army of Krogan. He'd found a cure for the genophage, a disease inflicted on the Krogan to prevent them from breeding and taking over the galaxy. But the Krogan Saren was breeding were slaves, mindless beasts that obeyed Saren's will. I had to destroy the base, and all its research. Rex disagreed. Violently. Rex wanted the genophage cure for his people. I tried to convince him to help me destroy it, that these Krogan weren't real. But he wouldn't back down. Fortunately, Rex is smarter than he looks. He realized this wasn't the way to help his people, and that Saren was the real threat. When we finally got to the center of the base, I realized just how close Saren was to completing his plan. He was already in communication with the Reapers. Sovereign, Saren's flagship we'd all assumed was just a ship, was a Reaper. It spoke to me, threatened me. I could feel the menace it had for every living thing. It wanted me dead. It wanted us all dead. And I knew it was capable of doing just that. What I couldn't understand was why Saren would help it. But there was no time to think about it. Sovereign knew where we were. We had to destroy the base and get the hell out. I split up my team in 2 squads, sending Ash with one and Caden with the other as a distraction. We had a nuke, and we planned to use it. Before we could detonate the bomb, Saren showed up. We fought. I stalled him to make time for my team. And in talking to him, I realized the truth. It wasn't Saren who was indoctrinating everyone. It was Sovereign. The Reaper. And Saren was in deeper than all of them. He tried to convince me he was still in control. Said he found a way to reduce the Reaper's influence, but he was kidding himself. Or believing the lies Sovereign was telling him. Before I could convince him to stop, he ran, leaving me just seconds to extract my squad mates. I tried, but I wasn't fast enough. I could only save one of them. Ash was a good friend, and a great soldier. But I had to choose, and I chose Caden. That was the last time Saren would slip away from me. I knew then, the next time we met, one of us would die. With my team mostly intact, we chased Saren and his army to Ilos, a long-lost planet that had once belonged to the Protheans. As we prepared for what we knew would be a desperate fight, I spoke to my crew. We were just one ship, against Saren's growing army. I assured them all that despite the odds, We could defeat him. But Liara saw through my words. She knew I was hurting after Ash's death. She could sense my doubts. We both knew this mission could be our last. Until that moment, we'd put our feelings aside for the sake of that mission. But why wait? We gave in to each other. And it was perfect. While it lasted. We arrived on Ilos, close behind Saren. Once on the planet, we discovered a Prothean databank that helped me put the final pieces of my vision together. The Reapers had come 50,000 years ago. And every 50,000 years before that. Each time purging the galaxy of life. The Protheans had fought and died, like every species before them. But a few survived long enough to leave a parting gift. The Protheans had discovered that the Citadel was the key to controlling the mass relays. By sabotaging the Citadel, they found a way to close the relays to dark space, slowing the Reapers' return, giving us the time we needed to find a solution to stop the Reapers once and for all. Saren knew this. He was leading his army to take control of the Citadel and re-establish the relays to dark space, bringing the waiting Reapers here to destroy us all. We followed him to the Citadel. It was intact, but heavily damaged. He had caught the Council fleets by surprise, and they were only now regrouping. And with Sovereign as his flagship, there was little hope the fleets could counterattack with enough strength to take back the Citadel. But Saren was done running, and I was done chasing him. As the Alliance and Citadel fleets battled Saren's army outside, I cornered the Turian bastard in the Citadel tower and confronted him. He died believing that the Reapers would save him. As I fought to regain control of the Citadel, the Council's flagship, the Destiny Ascension, fell under attack. Despite Saren's death, Sovereign and Saren's army continued to fight. The Council was aboard the Destiny Ascension, and they were requesting assistance. But I knew in order to help them, I would have to put our Human Alliance fleet in jeopardy. The Council had to be saved. They represented the hearts and minds of the galactic community. Without them, the fleets would be in disarray. Even with the Citadel back in my control, Saren defeated, and the Normandy leading the combined galactic fleet, the battle against Sovereign, a single Reaper, was relentless. It took the combined fleets of humanity and the other races, but in the end, Sovereign fell. But the costs were immense. While humanity's efforts in the war earned us our first seat on the Council, it was a hollow victory. The Reapers were still out there. I knew the fight was far from over, but as the one who'd led the fight against Saren, I was given new responsibilities. The choice of humanity's first counselor was left for me to decide. On the one hand, Udina, the lifetime politician. Ruthless and ambitious, he would easily navigate the political landmines that would soon be put in front of him. The other choice, Captain Anderson, the career soldier. Tough but fair, but a friend, and someone I could trust. Both great leaders in their own right. Anderson didn't want the job, which was a sure sign he'd be perfect for it. No ambition to get in the way. The war was over. The threat had passed. In time, the Council would rebuild itself. The Citadel could be repaired. Even the pain of lost friends would fade. But none of that mattered if the Reapers were still out there. And if they were all as powerful as Sovereign, we had to find a way to stop them. I had to find a way. I gathered my crew, took my ship, and went in search of answers. Officially, the Council would only say I was assigned to cleanup duty, rooting out any remnants of Saren's army. Just another routine mission.
Commander Shepard has been recovered. The Lazarus project will proceed as planned.